My name is Ryan, and this is the story of how my best friend turned my entire world upside down. It started in the most ordinary way possible, a college dorm room assignment. I was 18, fresh out of high school, nervous and excited about starting my new life at State University. When I walked into my dorm room that first day, there he was, tall, athletic, with sandy blonde hair and a smile that could light up a room. "Hey, you must be Ryan, I'm Connor." He extended his hand, and when I shook it, I felt an electric jolt run through me. I told myself it was just nerves about meeting my new roommate. I was lying to myself even then. Connor was everything I wasn't. He was confident, outgoing, effortlessly charismatic. He played soccer, had friends within hours of arriving on campus, and seemed to navigate college social life like he'd been born for it. I, on the other hand, was quiet, bookish, and had spent most of high school with my nose buried in novels. We shouldn't have been friends. We should have been polite roommates who coexisted in the same space and went our separate ways. But somehow we clicked. Maybe it was because Connor didn't judge me for being different. He'd invite me to parties even though he knew I'd probably say no. He'd ask about the books I was reading, genuinely interested in my opinions. He made space for me in his life without making me feel like I had to change who I was. And me, I fell for him almost immediately. Not that I told him, not that I told anyone. I'd known I was gay since I was 15, but I wasn't out. Not to my conservative parents, not to my high school friends, and definitely not to my straight, popular, probably wouldn't understand roommate. So I buried it. I laughed at his jokes, helped him with his English essays, went to his soccer games, and pretended that the way my heart raced when he walked into the room shirtless was completely normal platonic friendship. For 2 years, I kept that secret locked away. We were just friends, best friends, that's all we could ever be. Until the night everything changed. Freshman year passed in a blur of classes, late-night study sessions, and Connor's endless social adventures that I occasionally got dragged into. I watched him date a series of girls: Sarah, the nursing major; Emma, the girl from his sociology class; Taylor, who lasted almost 4 months. Each relationship was like a knife to my chest, but I smiled through it, played the supportive best friend, listened to him talk about his relationship problems like my heart wasn't breaking. "I don't get it, man," he'd say, sprawled on his bed after another breakup. "Why can't I find someone who just gets me, you know?" And I'd think, "I get you, I understand you better than anyone, but I'm not what you're looking for." Sophomore year, we moved into an apartment off campus with two other guys, Jake and Marcus. It should have given me some distance, some breathing room. Instead, Connor and I only got closer. We were the early risers in a house of late sleepers, so we'd have coffee together every morning. We discovered we both loved old horror movies, so Friday nights became our tradition, just the two of us, watching terrible 80s slasher films and eating takeout. Jake noticed it before I did. "Dude, you and Connor are basically married," he said one day when Connor was at practice. "We're just friends," I said automatically. "Yeah, but like really good friends. Sometimes I feel like Marcus and I are the third and fourth wheels in this apartment." I laughed it off, but his words stuck with me. Were we too close? Was I being too obvious? Could Connor tell how I felt? But Connor never said anything. He treated me the same as always, with easy affection, casual physical contact that meant nothing to him but everything to me. An arm around my shoulders, falling asleep on the couch with his head on my lap during movie night. The time he was drunk and told me I was his favorite person in the world. Just friends, that's all we were. I started dating, trying to move on. I went out with a guy from my literature class, then another from the coffee shop where I worked part-time. Neither lasted more than a few weeks. How could they when I was comparing them all to Connor? The breaking point came during winter break of sophomore year. Most students went home for winter break. Connor's family had moved to Arizona that year and the flight was expensive, so he decided to stay on campus. My parents were going on a cruise, their first real vacation in years, and when I mentioned this to Connor, he immediately suggested I stay too. "It'll be fun," he said. "Just us, the apartment, no classes, we can have a proper guys' week." I should have said no, should have made an excuse, gone home to my empty house, put some distance between us. But I didn't, because the truth was I didn't want to be away from him. So we stayed, just the two of us in that apartment for 10 days. The first few days were normal. We slept in late, made elaborate breakfasts, watched entire seasons of TV shows in single sittings. It was comfortable, easy, perfect. But something was different. Without Jake and Marcus there, without the constant flow of Connor's soccer friends dropping by, it was just us. Really us. And the tension I'd been ignoring for 2 years started to become impossible to deny. I'd catch Connor looking at me sometimes with an expression I couldn't quite read. He seemed more tactile than usual, always finding reasons to touch me, to sit close, to initiate physical contact. I told myself I was imagining it, that being cooped up together was just making me hyper-aware of every interaction. On the fifth night, we were watching a movie, some action thing Connor had picked. I wasn't really paying attention. I was too conscious of the fact that we were sitting on the couch, shoulders touching, and Connor's hand was resting on the cushion between us, inches from my leg. "Ryan," his voice pulled me out of my thoughts. "Yes." "Can I ask you something personal?" My heart started pounding. "Sure." Have you ever," he trailed off, seeming uncharacteristically nervous. "The guys you've been dating, they've all been guys." It wasn't a question, not really. It was an observation, an opening. I could have denied it, could have made up some excuse, but I was so tired of lying, especially to him. "Yeah," I said quietly, "I'm gay, Connor. I thought you knew." "I suspected," he admitted, "but you never said anything, so I didn't want to assume or make you uncomfortable." "Are you uncomfortable now that you know?" He looked at me, his expression serious. "Number Ryan, you're my best friend, nothing could change that." Relief flooded through me. "Good, that's good." We went back to watching the movie, but something had shifted. A wall had come down, a truth had been acknowledged. I felt lighter than I had in years. I had no idea that conversation was just the beginning. 2 days later, Connor brought it up again. We were cooking dinner together, or rather, I was cooking while Connor helped by eating ingredients and asking questions. "So," he said, trying to sound casual, "what's your type, in guys, I mean?" I nearly dropped the knife I was holding. "Why do you want to know?" He shrugged. "Just curious, we're best friends, I should know this stuff about you." "I don't have a specific type," I said carefully. I like people who are genuine, kind, someone I can talk to." "That's pretty vague." "Fine, I tend to go for athletic guys, blonde hair is nice, someone taller than me." As I said it, I realized I was basically describing Connor. I felt my face heat up. If Connor noticed, he didn't say anything, but he had this weird little smile on his face. "What about you?" I asked, trying to turn the conversation away from my obvious description of him. "What's your type in girls?" "I don't know," he said, and his smile faded. "I thought I did, but lately I've been questioning everything." "What do you mean?" He was quiet for a long moment, staring at the vegetables he was supposed to be chopping. "Have you ever felt something you knew you shouldn't feel? Like, your brain is telling you one thing, but your feelings are saying something completely different?" My heart was pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. "Yeah, I have." "How did you deal with it?" "Honestly, I'm still trying to figure that out." He looked at me then, and there was something intense in his gaze, something that made my breath catch. "Ryan, I need to tell you something, and I need you to promise you won't freak out." "Okay," I said, though I was definitely freaking out internally. I think I might have feelings for you." The world stopped. The kitchen, the apartment, everything just ceased to exist except for Connor's words hanging in the air between us. "What?" I managed to choke out. "I know," he said quickly. "I know it's crazy, I've always been straight, I've only ever dated girls, but this past year, maybe longer, I've been feeling something for you, and I can't ignore it anymore." I must have been dreaming, this couldn't be real. Connor, straight, athletic, popular Connor, couldn't be standing in our kitchen telling me he had feelings for me. "Say something," he pleaded, "you're killing me here." "I don't know what to say," I admitted. "Connor, are you sure you've never shown any interest in guys before? How do you know you're not just confusing our friendship for something else?" "I've thought about that," he said. "Trust me, I've thought about it constantly. But Ryan, when I'm with you, I feel something I've never felt with anyone else. When you're not around, I miss you. When you started dating those guys, I was jealous. Really jealous in a way that didn't make sense if it was just friendship. But you've dated so many girls. And none of them felt right. I kept trying to find what I had with you in those relationships, but it was never the same. It took me way too long to realize why." I was shaking. This was everything I'd wanted for 2 years, but now that it was happening, I didn't know how to process it. I need you to be sure, I said, because Connor, I can't be an experiment. I can't be the guy you try something with and then decide it's not for you. I care about you too much for that. You care about me. His face lit up with hope. I laughed, though it came out shaky. Of course I do. Connor, I've been in love with you since the day we met, but I never said anything because I thought you were straight and I didn't want to ruin our friendship. You're in love with me. He stepped closer and suddenly we were inches apart. Yes, you idiot, why do you think I've been so terrible at dating anyone else? Because you were comparing them all to me. He was smiling now, that brilliant smile that had haunted my dreams for 2 years. Exactly. So what do we do now? He asked softly. I don't know, this is all new territory for me too. I've never dated someone who's questioning their sexuality, someone who might wake up tomorrow and realize this was a mistake. It's not a mistake, he said firmly. Ryan, I've never been more sure of anything in my life. I might not have all the answers about my sexuality figured out, but I know how I feel about you. And how do you feel? Terrified, he admitted, but also really, really happy. Can we just see where this goes? I looked at him, really looked at him, at the vulnerability in his eyes, the hope, the fear. Connor wasn't someone who did things halfway. If he was taking this risk, if he was putting our friendship on the line for this, he meant it. Okay, I said, let's try. He kissed me then, soft and tentative at first, as if he was worried I might pull away. But I didn't pull away. I kissed him back, and it was everything I'd imagined and more. 2 years of pent-up longing poured into that kiss, and when we finally broke apart, we were both grinning like idiots. That was, Connor started. Yeah, I agreed, it really was. The rest of winter break passed in a haze of discovery and joy. We spent our days like we always had, watching movies, cooking terrible meals, staying up too late, but now there was an added dimension. Now we could hold hands, kiss on the couch, fall asleep tangled together. Connor approached it all with the same enthusiasm he brought to everything else in his life. He wanted to know everything, what I liked, what I didn't, how to be a good boyfriend to another guy. It was endearing and overwhelming in equal measure. Am I doing this right? He asked after our first proper date, dinner at a restaurant downtown, followed by a walk through the snow-covered park. There's no right way, I assured him. You're doing great. It's just weird, he admitted. I've dated before, but this feels different, more important somehow. That's because we were friends first, I said. We already know each other so well. The relationship part is just an addition to what we already have. I like that, he said, pulling me closer as we walked. I don't want to lose the friendship part. You're still my best friend, Ryan. You'll always be my best friend. Just one with benefits now, I joked. He laughed and kissed my temple. The best benefits. But as winter break drew to a close, reality began to intrude. Soon, Jake and Marcus would be back. Connor's soccer team would start practices. We'd have to return to our normal lives, except now everything was different. What do we tell people? I asked on our last night alone. Connor was quiet for a long time. What do you want to tell them? I want to be honest, I said. I'm tired of hiding who I am, but Connor, you're not out. You might not even identify as gay, you might be bi or pan or still figuring it out. I don't want to force you to come out before you're ready. I've been thinking about that, he said, and honestly I don't care about labels, I just know I'm into you. If that makes me gay or bi or whatever, fine, I'll figure out the terminology later. But Ryan, I don't want to hide this, I don't want to hide you. People are going to talk, I warned. Your soccer friends, your exes, everyone who knows you as the straight guy. It's not going to be easy. I know, but you're worth it. Those 4 words nearly broke me. You're worth it too, I whispered, so worth it. When Jake and Marcus returned, we told them immediately. We gathered in the living room and Connor took my hand before speaking. So Ryan and I have some news. We're together now, like dadding. Jake's jaw dropped. Marcus started laughing. I knew it, Marcus crowed. I told Jake something was going on between you two. You said we acted married, Jake protested. You didn't say they were actually dadding. Same thing, Marcus argued. Then he looked at us, his expression softening. But seriously guys, that's awesome, I'm happy for you. Me too, Jake added, though I'm a little bummed I lost the bet. You bet on us, I asked incredulously. Marcus bet you'd get together within a year. I said it would take at least 2, looks like you're both slow. We all laughed, and just like that the tension broke. Our roommates were cool with it, one hurdle down, about 1 million to go. Connor came out to his soccer team next. He was nervous. Athletes aren't always known for their progressive attitudes, but most of the guys were supportive. A few were awkward about it. One made an offensive joke that Connor shut down immediately, but overall it went better than expected. His parents were harder. Connor's dad was a former college football player, very traditional, very masculine. The phone call lasted 2 hours and I could hear his father's raised voice from across the room. But by the end, his dad said, "I don't understand it, but you're my son, I love you." It wasn't perfect, but it was something. My parents, well, that's a longer story. Let's just say I'm still working on that one. Dating Connor was everything I'd dreamed of and nothing like I'd imagined. The good parts were incredible: waking up next to him, having someone who knew me inside and out, building a relationship on a foundation of genuine friendship. We didn't have to do the awkward getting to know you phase because we already knew each other completely. But there were challenges too. Connor was figuring out his sexuality in real time, in public, with everyone watching. Some days he was confident and comfortable. Other days he'd panic, worried he was doing something wrong or that he wasn't gay enough or that people were judging him. "What if I'm just confused?" he asked one night after a particularly rough day. Someone had made a comment about him pretending to be gay and it had gotten under his skin. "Are you confused?" I asked gently. "No, when I'm with you, I know exactly what I want, but then someone says something and I start second-guessing everything." "People are going to say stupid things," I told him. "They're going to question your sexuality, question our relationship, question everything, but the only opinions that matter are ours. Do you want to be with me?" "Yes." "Do you regret coming out?" "No." "Then screw everyone else." He smiled at that. "When did you get so wise?" "I've had more practice dealing with this than you have. Give yourself time, Connor. You don't have to have everything figured out right now." Another challenge was navigating physical intimacy. Connor was enthusiastic but inexperienced with guys, and there was a learning curve. We had to communicate constantly about what we wanted, what we were comfortable with, what felt right. It was awkward sometimes, but it also brought us closer. And then there was the jealousy. Connor had never been a jealous person when we were just friends, but now that we were dating, he struggled with my past relationships. The fact that I'd dated other guys before him bothered him more than he wanted to admit. "It's stupid," he said. "I know you dated them before we got together, but I hate thinking about you with anyone else." "I feel the same way about your exes," I admitted. "I spent 2 years watching you date girls and pretending it didn't kill me, so yeah, I get it. At least I'm not dating them anymore. And I'm not dating those guys, I'm with you, that's what matters." But probably the biggest challenge was dealing with other people's perceptions. Connor's sexuality became a topic of campus gossip. People had opinions, way too many opinions, about whether he was really gay or just going through a phase. Some of his exes took it personally, as if his coming out was somehow a reflection on them. His soccer teammates, while mostly supportive, made occasional awkward comments. Through it all, Connor remained remarkably steady. Every time someone questioned his sexuality, he'd simply say, "I'm with Ryan, that's all that matters." He didn't engage with the rumors or defend himself to people who didn't matter. He just lived his truth and let people think what they wanted. I fell more in love with him every day. By the time junior year rolled around, Connor and I had been officially together for about 9 months. We moved into a new apartment, just the two of us this time. Jake and Marcus had found their own place, and we all agreed that while we'd still hang out constantly, Connor and I probably needed our own space. Living together as a couple was different from living together as roommates. Now we had to navigate things like whose turn it was to clean the bathroom, Connor's always. I cooked, he cleaned. Whose Netflix shows took priority, we compromised by alternating, and how to handle arguments without being able to retreat to separate rooms. Our first real fight was over something stupid, I can't even remember what now. But it escalated and suddenly we were both yelling, saying things we didn't mean. Connor stormed out and I was left alone in the apartment, terrified I'd ruined everything. He came back 3 hours later with apology donuts. I'm sorry, he said. I shouldn't have said those things, I was just frustrated and took it out on you. I'm sorry too, I said, I was being stubborn. We're going to fight sometimes, he said. We're both passionate people, but Ryan, we can't just run away when things get hard, we have to work through it. Agreed, no more storming out. No more storming out, he promised, even if you're being incredibly annoying. I threw a donut at him. That year, we settled into a comfortable rhythm. Connor excelled on the soccer team, they even made it to regionals. I got an internship at a publishing house. We hosted game nights with Jake, Marcus, and other friends. We took weekend trips to nearby cities. We were just normal, a normal couple living a normal life. Except we weren't normal, we were extraordinary, at least to me. Connor surprised me constantly with his thoughtfulness. He'd leave notes in my textbooks for me to find during study sessions. He learned to cook my favorite meals. He showed up at my publishing house internship with coffee and lunch on days he knew I'd be stressed. Why are you so good at this? I asked one day after he'd planned an entire surprise birthday party for me. Good at what? Being a boyfriend, you're dating a guy for the first time and somehow you're better at relationships than people who have been doing this for years. He grinned, that's because I'm not dating a guy. I'm dating you, my best friend, the person I know better than anyone. It's easy to be a good boyfriend when you're dating your favorite person. God, I loved him. Senior year brought new questions. What would happen after graduation? Connor had been scouted by a few minor league soccer teams. I'd been accepted to graduate school programs across the country. We'd spent 3 years building this relationship, but now we had to figure out if it could survive the real world. I got an offer, Connor said one evening in the fall of senior year, from a team in Portland. Connor, that's amazing, I hugged him, genuinely thrilled. He'd worked so hard for this. Yeah, it's a good opportunity. He didn't sound as excited as I'd expected. But you got into that graduate program at NYU, and Portland is nowhere near New York. My stomach dropped. In my excitement for his success, I hadn't thought about the geography. We'll figure it out, I said, trying to sound confident. Long distance is hard, but people do it. I don't want to do long distance, he said quietly. Ryan, I don't want to be away from you. What are you saying? I'm saying, what if I turned down Portland? What if I looked for teams on the East Coast instead? Connor, no, you can't give up your dream for me. You're not listening, he said, taking my hands. You are my dream. Yes, I love soccer, but I love you more. If I have to choose between playing for my first choice team or being with you, I choose you, every time. I was crying now, but what if you resent me later, what if? I won't, he interrupted. Ryan, we're a team, we've always been a team. Whatever we do next, we do it together. That's not giving up my dreams, it's just adjusting them to include the person I love. You really mean that? I really do. Besides, he added with a smile, there are soccer teams near New York, maybe not as prestigious as Portland, but they're there, and even if I don't play professionally, I can coach, I can teach, I have options, but I only have one you. We spent the next few months planning our future together. Connor got an offer from a semi-professional team in New Jersey, not his dream team, but a solid opportunity. I got my acceptance to NYU confirmed. We found a tiny apartment in Queens that we could barely afford but was ours. Graduation day was bittersweet. We were excited for our future but sad to leave the place where we'd met, fallen in love, built our life together. Thank you, Connor said as we packed up our apartment for the last time. For what? For being patient with me, for waiting while I figured myself out, for being brave enough to love me even when you thought I could never love you back. Connor. Let me finish, he said. Ryan, you changed my life, you showed me who I really am, and I know the last 3 years haven't been easy coming out, dealing with everyone's opinions, navigating all of this. But I wouldn't change a single thing because it led me to you. I kissed him then in our empty apartment, surrounded by boxes and memories. I love you, I said. I love you too, best friends. Best friends, I confirmed, and so much more. 5 years later. It's been 5 years since Connor first told me he had feelings for me. 5 years since that winter break when everything changed. We're living in Brooklyn now in a slightly less tiny apartment. Connor coaches high school soccer and plays for a local club team. I'm finishing my graduate degree and working at a small publishing house. We have a cat named Fitzgerald, my choice, and a dog named Messi, Connor's choice, obviously. Life is good, not perfect. We still fight sometimes, still have hard days, still struggle with the occasional person who has a problem with our relationship. But we face it together. Connor proposed last year. We were on a beach in Cape Cod watching the sunset, and he just turned to me and said, "Marry me." No big speech, no elaborate plan, just those 2 words and a ring he'd been carrying around for weeks, waiting for the right moment. I said yes before he'd even finished asking. "We're getting married next spring. My parents are coming." It took a while, but they came around eventually. Connor's dad is walking him down the aisle. Jake is Connor's best man, Marcus is mine. They flipped a coin to decide. Sometimes I think about that 18-year-old kid moving into his dorm room, scared and alone, convinced he'd never find someone who could love all of him. If I could go back and tell him what was coming, tell him that his straight roommate would turn out to be the love of his life, he'd never believe me. "What are you thinking about?" Connor asks. We're on the couch, our couch in our apartment, in our life together. "Just how lucky I am," I say. Sappy, he teases, but he's smiling. Says the guy who proposed with "marry me" and nothing else. Why use more words when those two are perfect? He has a point. We were just friends once, best friends who seemed unlikely, improbable, impossible. And then Connor changed everything, not by becoming someone different, but by being brave enough to acknowledge who he really was, by taking a risk on us. People ask me sometimes what it's like to be with someone who's questioning their sexuality, who came out later, who had to figure everything out in real time. And I tell them the truth, it's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Because love isn't about labels or timelines or fitting into neat categories. Love is about finding someone who sees you completely and chooses you anyway. Someone who makes you laugh and drives you crazy and feels like home. Connor was my best friend, now he's my fiancé, soon he'll be my husband. And I still can't quite believe how lucky I am that he changed everything. "Hey," Connor says, pulling me out of my thoughts, "I love you." "I love you too." Best friends. Best friends, I confirm, kissing him softly, forever and always. And somewhere that 18-year-old version of me is smiling, knowing that everything worked out better than he ever dreamed possible.